always want us to do it right. If it takes a little longer to do it right, take that time. And so we have concluded that in order to do it right, and in order to give a welcome that includes not just a smile, but also the roof under their head and everything else that they need, it is better to take that additional time, and so that is what we are doing.
Well, the timeline may have changed, but the federal government's goal remains the same, and that's to get 25,000 Syrian refugees to Canada. Only now, the deadline's been extended by 2 months. 10,000 refugees should be here by the end of the year, and an additional 15,000 will arrive by the end of February. When the refugees arrive, there will, of course, be challenges to getting them all resettled, and my next two guests are very familiar with what that is like. Joining me now is Saleem Spindari and Danny Ramadan. Saleem, you're a Kurd who came from Iraq, and Danny, you've come from Syria. Let me ask you both, I'll start with Saleem, what was one of the biggest challenges that you faced when you first came here?
Well, the first thing is when you come to a new country, it's a totally new environment. The challenges that I faced initially was to find a social network, to find some people who would be able to, that I can connect with. Housing is a big thing. You have to try to find housing in a very short period of time. And then employment was the other thing that came to my mind when the challenges that I was going through. And then on top of all that, when I was looking back at my education, I came with a BA in English Language and Arts. To find anything with that credential that I obtained from my country was a really difficult thing to do. And people were questioning the experience and all that. But for me, these are some of the things. The other thing that I was really trying to deal with is the reality that I am in a new land. The safety is here, but what I left behind still brings me memories.
Danny, I want to know more about that culture shock. How much of that will these people, do you think, experience when they arrive, wherever they happen to arrive in Canada?
Of course. Well, you have to realize it's really difficult to switch from the environment that they're living in the past 2, 3, 4 years and coming here to a completely different, completely calmer environment. We're talking about folks who were living in a war zone and then escaped it overnight, became refugees in refugee camps in hostile societies that weren't 100% supportive of them. There's a level of stress that accumulate over time because of those situations, and then they come here to a completely different culture, welcoming, open, calmer, and that basically is a culture shock for them. It takes time for Syrian refugees. It definitely took me time to just relax and let go of all that stress and feel more comfortable living in this culture here.
What would you do for support, Saleem?
I try to go to a settlement organization. I try to connect with people who came before me, and I will try to connect with services that are available here. And these are all some of the really good support that people can only find in places like Canada and not everywhere else.
Danny, sorry. I was going to say, Danny, you came as a privately sponsored refugee. How was that experience different? Some of these people are going to be coming as government-sponsored refugees.
Sure. So coming as a private-sponsored refugee means that there is already a community waiting for you here that is helping you to supporting you to find employment, find housing, and all of that was part of the support that I got, me and my partner, when we arrived here. And of course it made a big difference, but at the same time there's still some challenges that we continue to face despite the support that we got. Employment is definitely a big challenge that we faced, especially that the Canadian workplace always ask for either Canadian education or Canadian experience. And as a new refugee, despite the fact that I come from a background of long 10 years of a career, I found myself struggling to find work.
Saleem, give me a sense about what your sense is of some of the misconceptions that people might have about all of those who are arriving.
One of the misconceptions is people fear that the refugees might commit some terrorist act. You know, refugees are the ones that flee terrorism. and then the reason why they flee their home countries is because of that. The other thing is nobody chooses to be a refugee. People don't leave their homes and wake up one day to say that they want to be refugees. They are actually forced to do that. It's really difficult for them to leave everything behind and to go to a country to start all over again. So the misconceptions are sometimes people would say that refugees would come and they would be dependent on government services and all that, but from our experience being refugees and working with refugees, they are really good contributors to the communities and society they settle.
Danny, do you have any thoughts on that?
Of course. Basically, when I come here as a refugee, that doesn't mean that I want to sit aside and just enjoy life and endlessly. I would like to continue my career. I would like to find work. I would like to be part of the community that I became basically part of. And indeed, that's exactly what me and my partner did. We found work. We struggled a lot to find work, but we did. I found work in an organization supporting LGBTQ folks. My partner found work in a dental office. We would like to be part of the Canadian community. We would like to pay our taxes and support the Canadian community because it supported us and got us out of an extremely difficult situation for us.
And thank you both for coming in today.
Of course, thank you.
Saleem Spindari and Danny Ramadan.
Thank you.